Hey, we are finishing up a long run.
It's a daily and unexpected long run.
Yeah.
Apparently all the plans I made this week in my head were just in my head and I didn't share them.
That's right, but we finished.
Thursday, we finished a long run. Hit the road tomorrow.
That's right. So we've got stuff to share. Thanks so much for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We understand that this is kind of a late post for us, but if you take it easy, maybe grab a drink.
It's been like 3 weeks.
I know, it's been a while.
We're so sorry.
We have a lot to share. You'll notice that we introed with a run.
With a run.
Yeah, it was great.
That was our next to last run we've taken, and it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah.
But really, we knew going into September, October, early November, that it was just going to be stupid busy, and it was.
Yeah, it was.
But now we're through it all, and we can tell you what we've been up to.
Yeah, we want to share.
And then theoretically next week, we'll get back to training updates because if you're new here, we're training for 2 marathons and a half marathon this winter and spring.
Yeah.
So we really kind of need to get back to that. But again, there's been other stuff going on.
So we told you a while back that we were going to participate in Dapper Day at Disneyland. Now, if you're not familiar with Dapper Day is...
It's a day. It's not like an official Disney day, but it's a day where folks just show up at the parks kind of dressed...
Dapper.
Kind of like, those old pictures you see of Disneyland's opening, in the 50s. The women are all, beautiful in their dresses. The dudes look really nice, So it's a day to be dapper. They do it twice a year at both both coasts. So twice a year at Disneyland, twice a year at Disney World. And we did it once before in 2016.
Yeah.
And we decided it was time to do it again. Yeah. So in true Laura fashion, I didn't start working on our, first of all, I made our outfits.
Yeah.
Second, I didn't start working on them until 2 weeks before we left town. Yeah. And so the night before we left, so after that training run that you saw, that was the day before we left. Yeah. That night, I was finishing our outfits until like 9:45. I finally finished them enough. If I had more time, I would have done more.
And Laura did a beautiful job. I love our outfits. So Laura made her dress and a bolero. Oh man, just beautiful stuff. And she made my vest. Again, beautiful, beautiful work. Thank you very much.
And even though the movie hadn't been released yet, we went as an homage to Deadpool and Wolverine. Right. Wolverine is David's favorite
character,
comic book character from his youths. And I am a super foul-mouthed person, so I went with Deadpool.
Oh, perfect. So you might see some touches in our outfits that kind of showcase Deadpool, Wolverine. We had a. I mean, it was awesome watching Laura make this stuff, and then we headed on the road.
We hit the road, and we actually did a road trip.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of re-examining the way that we travel.
Yeah.
Living in this remote area, it takes many hours to get to the closest airport. It takes a few more hours to get to the closest airport with direct flights to just about anywhere we want to go. So we're kind of thinking like, if we're going to be in the car for 5 hours one way, anyway, to get to the airport, maybe we just drive. So we tried it out this time. Yeah. Like maybe we just drive.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we hit the road, and what we found when we were planning this trip is the interstate that got us from New Mexico to California is I-40. If you don't know, I don't think I knew until I started researching it. I-40 is what is basically the faster route of Route 66 now. So there were portions of our trip which were, Route 66 kind of kitschy, fun things. So we did a better job on the way there. On the way home, I think we just kind of wanted to get home.
Well, yeah, you'll see why.
Yeah, but on the way there, we tried to stop at least every 2 hours, which is what we do anyway for our bodies.
Yeah.
But what really helps our bodies is not just standing up, maybe going to the bathroom, or switching, driver's seat and passenger seat. We actually walked around. So our first stop was Winslow, Arizona.
Oh yeah, and
we
Winslow.
stood on a corner in Winslow, Arizona,
Such a fine sight to see. Yeah, and it's pretty cool, because it's the corner is called Glen Fry Drive, and that's where he and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, where they wrote "Take It Easy," that the Eagles made famous. So yeah, we were there. It was really cool.
We were there. We also stopped in Seligman, which I'd never heard of. They had an ice cream store that I wanted to go to, but we got there too early. They weren't open yet. So instead we just kind of walked around. It was cute.
And driving around those places, you can see the inspiration for the movie Cars.
Yes.
I mean, you really can. Just
oh my gosh.
the mountains and just the geography and then these little buildings and stuff. Oh man, it was really, really fun. Now, again, the drive from here to California is about 14 hours. So
14 hours. We split it up.
Yeah, we did.
So on the way there, we stopped in Gallup. We kind of left late in the day, stopped in Gallup, which is still New Mexico. But the next morning, holy cow, this fire's getting hot.
Yeah.
We're going to have, good, we got to move.
We'll be right back. Action. All right. So the fire is blazing hot because
it's winter here.
It's winter. Anyway, we'll get back to that.
More on that later. So on the way there, we kind of left after work, went a little ways on the first day, and then had a big long drive day the next day. On the way back, we cut it exactly in half. Yeah. It was actually a decent drive.
It was nice.
It's totally doable.
Yeah,
I think we may. Well, we may.
The thing about traveling by car is we can load up with a bunch of supplies, and so that's kind of neat. Anyway, so we finally get to California.
We get to California. We ended up the first night staying in Fullerton, which is 15 minutes from Disneyland because it was way cheaper, and we weren't going to Disneyland till the next day. Right. So we pulled into town. Interestingly enough, I had a few breweries, as I do. A few breweries that I wanted us to go to, and we kind of hopped around. We did some walking through purely residential areas in Southern California is always a trip. So beautiful people. They were so nice and friendly. Yeah. Everybody was so friendly. Really was. It was raining. That was the kind of wild card that nobody expected. So we're walking through a medium cool rain. And then we actually got dumped on the way back, but that's another story. Anyway, we go to this brewery and we're having a good time, and we realize that we're really hungry. It just hit us. And I look at my maps, and what I do when I plan our trips, I create in Apple Maps. They're called guides. So I favorite various places that I want us to go. And I found this place called El Farolito that was literally 1 block away from where we were, that somebody, a dental hygienist from years earlier on a different road trip to California had recommended that we go to, and we didn't, because normally when we go to Disney, we just go to Disney. Yeah. So I was oh, okay, and I put it in one of my little guides and forgot about it for years, and then we ended up 1 block away from him. Well, we gotta go.
We're starving.
It's right there.
Oh my gosh.
It was so
The food was
good,
amazing. It just was
I don't even remember what we ordered. What did we order? We had guacamole and oregano, maybe.
Yeah, it was. Oh my gosh, it was.
I don't know, but it was amazing. The drinks were amazing. We got a regular margarita, a mango margarita, a prickly pear margarita, and what's the one I really like? Guava, and a guava margarita.
Rome.
Between the two of us. We didn't each have all of those.
Yeah. Oh man, it was fantastic. And then we walked back to the hotel, met up with our wonderful friends, Andrew and Aaron. Thanks guys for joining us. It was awesome. Yeah. Because we had to... Our plan was to get up early. Get to the hotel, get checked in, even though the room's not ready. If we, go show our face, we get the room key. We stayed at Pixar Place. But also go dressed for Dapper Day.
Right. So we get the room key that will allow us to get into the side entrance of California Adventure, which is where we had our park reservation for the day because we were Marvel characters, so it just made more sense. Yeah. So we're right on track. We're totally going to get there right on time. And then I put on my outfit and I'm like, oh no. So because I waited till the last minute to make everything... I never really tried on the whole thing, which is a rookie mistake. I know better. I really do. So I put on my skirt and it's an inch too big. And I'm oh geez, maybe I can get by. That's okay.
She can fix anything.
And then I put on the belt that, you know, David turned into Wolverine, Deadpool for me, which, by the way, was one of his old belts. Yeah. So we had already shortened it. We didn't shorten it enough. It was like so baggy. Yeah. So that happened, and then you put on your vest, and one of the buttons just fell apart. We covered buttons. We made the buttons to go on there, and one of them just had to have been a flawed button set, and it fell apart. So I'm like, great. So I safety pinned my skirt. I didn't move the hook and bar. I didn't want to deal with that. I just safety pinned it. Who cares? I'm never going to wear this.
Hook and bar is insider.
It's the fastener. So hook and bar. So that happened, and I'm like, David's like, no, I think your belt looks good. Like Deadpool's got like a little like it's kind of baggy and this. I'm like, no, this looks terrible. So David got. We started off with he's like, do you have your fingernail clippers? I'm like, yeah. Oh no, you asked for a fingernail file. I was like, well, I don't have one that's metal. Yeah. Well, what about on your fingernail clippers? So he got my fingernail clippers, got the little finger file, and started like forging a hole. And then it wasn't big enough, so I had a pin, like a writing pin in my backpack. Yeah. So whatever, that actually took way longer than I thought it would. But we got an appropriately sized hole.
Fix my button.
In the belt. I moved the button, so we had decided...
I wasn't going to button my bottom button.
The bottom button wasn't going to be buttoned, so I took that button off, moved it. Yeah. So all that to say, 3 emergency repairs in the hotel room. We did not arrive to Pixar Place at the time we wanted to, but we still got in pretty...
But we did get there. By the way, Pixar Place, an amazing Disney hotel at Disneyland. We want to thank Stephanie Martin again with the Vacationeer. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for making this possible for us, because you took the hard work out of getting the hotel. Again, I'll put the link in the description. If you're planning a trip and you're going to go to Disney, just call Stephanie.
It's easy.
And boom. And it's free. She's amazing. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
So we got there, and the day was perfect. The weather was just absolutely perfect.
It was perfect. And I made this little bolero coat, a little jacket. I made it out of wool, and I thought, this is going to be warm. Oh, that's a cool thing. Let me back up a little bit. So we had these ideas of things to make, like outfits that we wanted to make. We had the patterns. We had everything we needed, but I wasn't sure fabric-wise. We don't have a fabric store nearby anymore. I can order stuff online, but sometimes it shows up and it's like, well, this isn't what I wanted, Right. So I went through my fabric stash, and found everything. Yeah. All the linings, everything
even the
came
colors
out of my stash, and it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and when we talked about, do something as an homage to Wolverine for me, and I'm like, what would be really cool is the brown version of Wolverine's costume, not the
movie version.
Yeah, and Laura found
I had some tie silk. That was the perfect color, the perfect 2 colors. Amazing. Anyway, so we went into the park. Went to the park. We paid for I don't remember what they call it, but the photo pass for the day, because we knew we wanted to get pictures. So we got some really good pictures of us in our outfits. Yeah. This mountain girl now made it until like 3 p.m. in my heels. So thanks, y'all, because I do not wear heels anymore. Yeah. I do not wear those anymore. So I was really proud of myself for that.
And it was great. The crowds were really low, too. We're walking through California Adventure, and we just walked on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Motivation for me to escape. I go, ow! Ow! That was not part of the plan. What? Of course I escaped.
The Tower of Terror.
It took us 5 minutes.
We walked in, and it said like 15 minutes, but I was looking, I'm like, there's no line. So, and then we walked straight into the pre-show. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really great. And walking around for the most part that entire day, we did see some other really wonderful, dapper people walking around, but there just weren't very many people. The crowds were light. And Laura brought up, she thought it was because we just happened to hit it at the right time. The Halloween celebrations are kind of over.
It had just ended.
And the Christmas ones haven't started. So it's there's kind of a lull, and it worked out perfectly. Awesome. I mean, we had a wonderful time, and it was a really, really great Dapper Day.
Great Dapper Day. That ended with us at Trader Sam's, because the day before on the road, I was like, I wonder if there's any reservations available. And there was one.
Yeah, that's a total unicorn right there. Yeah. It was awesome. Not only that, Some of you know that we got married at Trader Sam's.
Covertly got married at Trader
covertly, and they sat us at the very table that we got married at. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
Just perfect
Yeah.
day. Then next day, we
2 more
got
days at Disneyland. We
Let's
got
go.
up. We did some rides. We ate some food. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
We got to see the new Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. We haven't seen that since they revamped it.
That was awesome. We
It
got
was
to ride
lovely.
the train. The trains have been
train?
down for so long. We hadn't been able to ride it, so we rode the trains, and then we rode Autopia, which we have never been on at Disneyland together. That was great.
was so
She's an
fun.
excellent driver. Excellent driver.
Those cars are rough.
It's such a fun ride.
Yeah, it was neat.
And again, the crowds weren't heavy, so we weren't waiting for an hour for the ride.
Right.
We got a Matterhorn. I mean, it really was a wonderful day. The weather was great. The crowds were great. We had so much food.
We went to Din Tai Fung, which is new-ish in downtown Disney.
Right.
Awesome. Awesome little place.
The food was remarkable.
Oh,
and,
it was
and,
so
and
good.
for us, it was all the things that we ordered, all vegetarian. And the flavors are just like, oh my gosh, the serving sizes, oh my gosh, the drinks, Din Tai Fung, you have to go if you're ever downtown Disney.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, you
Highly
must
recommend.
you must go to Din Tai Fung. It was great. Ben.
Last day. So 2 big highlights from our last day there. The first thing was that we got up and went downstairs at 6:30 in the morning
Yep.
to meet our friends, Alan and Grace, to go for a run.
Yeah. hey, so we are in Disneyland again, and we're going for a short run. We're pretty excited, and we'll share some footage with you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Grace. It was such a great run.
Such a great
it was.
run.
And these 2 sleepy faces.
Oh yeah, we had like little creasy faces, little puffy eyes.
Yeah.
So we went. They took us around basically the perimeter of the parks.
Yeah.
So from
Basically
our
a
hotel,
5K,
basically a 5K.
Yeah.
So we went down Disneyland Drive and then up Bell, and then whatever that one is,
I was
and then
following
Catella.
our tour guide.
And speaking of tour guides, so we, I ran with Alan and David ran with Grace, and they told us that like around the entire perimeter of the park, we heard so many neat stories
awesome,
about
stuff.
the area.
Now here's the deal, and we were really honored to run with Alan and Grace. Alan is the only perfect marathoner for Run Disney, and what that means is he's the only human being who has run every marathon that Run Disney has offered.
Not just Disney World. There was one at Disneyland.
There was
Which he
a
also did.
full marathon at Disneyland once. He did it. And then he has run every single marathon that Run Disney has offered. He's amazing.
pretty cool.
And he's the only perfect Run Disney marathoner. So thank you so much for taking time out. And thank you for taking us on not only a great run, but a great tour of everything Disney there. It was awesome, and it felt great, and we did great, and I wish we could have spent more time. But that was a real highlight of our trip.
That was the highlight.
And then we decided, hey, we went running, so let's go eat.
I mean,
It was the last day,
Come on.
our last day in the park.
yeah. So of course we ate and drank a bunch of stuff. On the last day there, so it turned out that Disney was offering previews, Magic Key holders, so annual pass holder previews for Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Right, the new Splash Mountain.
The new Splash Mountain retheme. It actually is open now. It opened yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's open to everybody now. But when we were there, we were like, oh, neat. We'll try to get a
virtual cube.
virtual cube.
Yeah.
So when we were on our run, my calendar reminder went off to get a virtual queue,
But you didn't.
But I ignored my watch when it
Well, we were
bumped,
having too much
and it wasn't
fun.
until like 2 hours later that we were like, oh no, we forgot.
Yeah.
But you have another chance at noon. So we were hanging out. We were actually sitting at this like area in California Adventure with another crew of people who, as it turns out, were doing the same thing,
they're
just
trying to get
basically
another
waiting for
virtual
noon
cube.
to show up
Yeah.
to get their virtual cube. Anyway, they got it too. I think they may have. Well, I'm not going to spoil it.
Well,
Let me back
and
up.
leading up to that, we had gone on a run. We had like 3 breakfasts after that. So We went through the parks and we were just eating stuff, and then it's like, oh no, virtual queue. So you got it.
So we got it. We got a virtual queue. It wasn't a bad boarding group, and they were kind of blowing through them pretty fast. So we were like, oh shoot. So we get to a point where, you know, I think we were like 40 something, and they were on like 30 something. I was like, well, let's head back over to Disney.
And in case you're not familiar with the virtual queue for Disney rides, certain rides that offer it, what you do is you try to get a virtual queue using the Disney app, and if you do get it, you're part of a boarding group, and then you're called when your boarding group is ready, or they're ready for your boarding group, and then you have a certain amount of time to get there once your boarding group is called. So the idea is you can be roaming around the park.
It's only like an hour. Like once you're called, you have an hour to show up, and I'm sure there's a little bit of a grace period, but
and then the app will say, boom, hey, your boarding group's called. So then, oh man, let's make our way to the ride. So that's a virtual queue.
So we weren't called yet, but we were on our way towards Disneyland, and we get called. It was like, cool. So we go to the ride, and I'm like, where do we go? Because like everything was kind of blocked off. It was blocked off because the ride went down.
Yeah, it went down.
And I was like, oh shoot, we just got called.
Oh well.
No. So we asked, actually on that one, we were like,
we'll be back.
It'll come back up.
Yeah, it happens.
Right. So we're not going to hang out here like, you know, with all these amateurs who are going to wait here waiting for it. So we're gonna go eat something else probably. I don't remember what we did, but I'm sure it was food.
We went and ate something. Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, it's back up. Perfect. Let's go back over. And then, no, it's down. By the time we get there, it's down again.
Darn. So then we asked.
Well, then we asked. I'm like, okay, listen, we've been called. I understand it's down. Are we going to get a notification that it's up? Or do we need to like babysit this app to keep watching it? And she was like, okay, you should get a notification, but go ahead and babysit it. But just as long as you're back here before like 7 p.m., we'll, you know, basically it was like, we'll honor it if you show up a few hours before park close. So we left. We went back over to California Adventure.
We had more food and drink.
We got some beers. And then as soon as we get our beers, ding, you're called again. So we're like, go. And we go back over. Okay. We get there. And because we weren't close, like that's a big hike. Yeah. We get there.
And it's down.
It's down.
No.
So this time we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? So
we're standing there.
We're hanging out like by the fence, like,
and
you
want to get something to eat over there,
whatever. And then I'm like, wait a minute, he's not turning people away. Hang on, it's up. So I'm like, let's go. Okay, so then we get on. All right, so we go through the whole.
So now this is the totally rethemed Tiana, you know.
Which we love Tiana.
Yeah, the Princess and the Frog, and we're walking through. Oh man. The whole retheming, it's beautiful. You know, outside there's like a garden and stuff. Her garden, because this is her kitchen. You see family photos. There's some beignets in the kitchen. Oh man, it was great. And we get to the boarding area, and
we get on a log. So we're there. We're a family of four, a mom and four sons. And then me and David are on this one log, and we're like all so excited. This is amazing. This is awesome. We can't believe we made it because we got turned away 4 times.
It was amazing too. Once, you know, in the ride, they've totally changed it, but it was really great. The animatronics, oh man, we don't want to spoil it for you. Of course, you can watch the ride.
Well, we can't spoil it for you because we only made it so far on the ride. So we're like, coming along. And then we get to the Dig a Little Deeper song. Right before, like, there's the
sunshine
to the big drop. It's right there.
50-foot drop.
And we stop moving, and it's like, oh dear.
What?
So there's 1, 2, 3 logs in front of us. We're the 4th log.
And who knows how many behind
us. They just keep piling up behind us.
We sat in that log for half an hour. Didn't move.
With the music going.
For half an hour.
Thankfully, it was a song that we liked.
Yeah.
It is burned in our brains now.
Oh, yeah.
For all eternity.
Guaranteed.
Blue skies and sunshine. So finally, it's like, okay, clearly we're not moving.
Right. Something's up. But what are you going to do?
And maybe they'll figure it out and we can keep going. Because, we're just like, we're right there.
And our feet are in a foot of water inside the log because, you know, it's a log ride.
So finally what happens is they turn the lights on. They kill the music.
Yep.
And they announce that they're going to evacuate us. So now at this point, I had been pretty successful at ignoring how badly I had to go to the bathroom. Okay. Again, glug, 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 chug a beer before I get on a water ride and sit there for 30 minutes. So I was doing okay at like ignoring my
because
bladder.
the song was going on, right?
The song, I'm distracted. We're singing. We're having a good, for 30 minutes. We're having literally a good time. Like
A dog, a pig,
a cow. I'll go,
goat.
let them all in here.
Yeah, let them all in here. So we're having a good time. Well, all that
Oh my
stopped,
God.
right?
It stopped. And guess what? We're sitting in a waterfall. And all I hear is I thought I was going to die. So from that point, it was probably another 10 minutes before they got us off, 15.
Yeah.
So what happened was they bring somebody out, a cast member. She unloads the first log. Mm-hmm. Great. They've been sitting there the longest. Makes sense. They unload the second log. And then she's like, okay, everybody hang tight. We'll be back for you. She leads them all this way. 5 minutes later, they come back. And I'm like,
what?
This ride has been going down all day. How do you not know where to evacuate people? Like, I'm sure you have been evacuating people all day long. So anyway, they go and I'm like, okay. I'm like trying to keep it together. I'm like, okay.
She really had to go.
They did those two. That's good. We're next. Boom, boom. And then for some reason, when they get those people gathered, they go to the last log and then start working their way up. And I'm like, I'm gonna pee myself.
Of the 10
I'm
logs,
gonna urinate in this log.
of the 10
right now.
logs that were log jammed right there, we were the last one.
The last one.
Unloaded.
So what happened
and
was,
it was tricky too.
our log, right, wasn't in there straight. We were in there like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So the kids that were the front couldn't exit from the front. Everybody had to come out the back. So I think they had to like think about how to get us out before they got us out. Anyway, finally made out. The poor woman in front of me, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying back here, and I'm like,
go over the edge.
I was like, I'm so sorry you have to hear this. I really have to go to the bathroom. She's like, just pop a squat, man. Nobody's gonna know you're on a water ride. I'm like, listen,
the log was half full of water anyway.
I really hope it doesn't, but it may. It was dire.
Hey, you know, props to the cast members because they have a really tough job. They really do, and they did a great job. I mean, if you didn't have to pee,
I would have had a much better time. That was all on me.
So they walked us.
Was really
they
good.
walked us out all these secret panels.
Oh yeah, and I didn't even get to enjoy it. I hope you got a good look because I wasn't.
Anyway,
so
most of the ride is awesome. We just can't tell you about the rest.
The big drop.
And the party at the end. We have no idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we rode half of Tiana's. Yeah. And then we finally make it out, and they're giving us fast passes or lightning lanes.
Yeah. It's like,
that
sorry,
we can use anywhere.
Can use it, so.
And, I'm like, okay, scan it. I gotta go. And so
she disappeared like a streak of lightning.
David said he's never seen me run so fast.
I've never seen her ever.
I ran
it was amazing.
to the bathroom. Luckily, I knew where to go because I had 30 minutes to think about where the closest bathroom was.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, it was a thing.
So we used our lightning lane to go ride Space Mountain.
Space Mountain without any waiting. It was fantastic.
It was a great day. And then, time to come home. And guess what? A big snowstorm hit home, like huge. And the snowstorm was traveling pretty much around the route we were taking to come home.
Well, the worst part of it was just parked over our house and like over our region.
Yeah.
But it extended. So on the way home, I mentioned that we stopped halfway.
Yeah.
So we drove halfway. First of all, that first morning when we woke up to leave,
it was weird.
There was a high wind warning in the LA area, and it was
high wind.
Very.
I mean, it was scary.
Wind.
We saw trees.
Tree chunk.
Like huge
Fly
branches
off.
Just breaking off trees next to the highway. It was dusty. We couldn't see. Everybody's just kind of like, it was really awful. Rough. It's like, man, we're so glad we weren't in the park for this because we can't imagine even rides operating. It was just so windy,
So we make it to Flagstaff. That's our halfway point.
Right.
Flagstaff,
cool. Arizona.
We've never been to Flagstaff. We of course drove through it on the way going, but we didn't realize that it was that kind of climate. Like we knew it was cold. Like I had been monitoring the weather, so I knew it was going to be cold, but it was like being here. It was like pine trees and snow. So basically that night it started snowing there. Yeah. Actually, no, I think it started snowing before we got there. Anyway, we woke up the next morning, our cars were covered with snow. Yeah. And then pretty much the entire drive from Flagstaff on, we were driving through snow. Yeah. Of varying degrees of severity. Yeah. So some of it was okay, some of it was really rough.
Some of it was pretty scary.
And we had planned to drive home that day, but we only made it to Santa Fe. Yeah. Like we called it. We couldn't keep driving, so we added that day to our trip.
It was pretty scary. We saw several 18-wheelers, like they'd crashed for whatever reason.
Like overnight, I think.
You know, side of the road, middle of the road. Kept getting alerts about road closures. Not that those affected us immediately, but you know, you're driving in this and you're stressed, and it was pretty scary. And then, you know, driving through some really low visibility areas too. You know, that's pretty rough and stressful. And then Laura had a brilliant idea. Hey, let's get a Blizzard.
Well, we pulled into this gas station and it had a Dairy Queen attached. And I'm like, you know, I've got a real hankering for a Blizzard right now.
It was perfect.
It was so good.
And they were delicious, and I think they powered us through the rest of the drive, right?
Yeah, so we ended up in Santa Fe for the night.
Yeah.
I grabbed a hotel room while we were driving, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then we walked around Santa Fe. Yeah, you mentioned that road trips are great because you can just throw whatever you need in the car. Here's something we learned we have to throw in the car every time, and that's our winter shoes.
Yeah.
Shoes with some sort of traction, hiking boots, or
you know,
or
stuff
other
we
boots,
wear here
trail
every
shoes,
day.
whatever. Because we got to Santa Fe and it was slick,
Yeah,
but we had our
awesome.
California shoes,
Yeah.
and so it was not easy to navigate. But we took baby steps.
Yeah, we
and
powered
got a cocktail and went to get some good food.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And then the next day, we drive home, and again, it was pretty stressful. You know, the roads here, whenever you know, conditions warrant, snowplows come out and they drop what's called cinders on the road, which you know, are cinders. It's
Gives you traction, breaks it up, keeps it from freezing.
You know, it's meant to you know, melt the snow and the ice or whatever. But that was pretty stressful. We hit a couple of really low visibility portions of the drive. But thankfully, we made it home. When we made it home,
There was 2 feet of snow in the driveway.
yeah, we couldn't get in our driveway.
So we had to shovel our way into the driveway. We just today, that was last week.
Yeah,
That was a week ago. We just today
cleared our driveway.
cleared the rest of the driveway.
So we're talking snow blower, snow plow, shovel.
By the time today came, we were shoveling like 2 inches of ice off of our driveway. It was our annual reminder to keep up with it and not fall behind. But we were out of town. We fell behind, we started off behind the curve. Anyway.
There you have it.
There you have it. That was our
All
trip.
the sights and
So,
sounds of our amazing Dapper Day.
It was a great trip.
Yeah, it was.
It was our last trip for a while. We like I said, September through early November, we left town like 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them for like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
This one was the longest, and we're bombed out.
But what about running?
I'm ready to stay home. What about running? So when we're discussing whether or not we want to fly or drive to say the half marathon at Disneyland, because we were thinking like, yeah, we'll probably drive it. We can totally drive this.
Yeah.
David's knee has been flaring up for the last week.
Yeah.
And we think it's probably because we were sitting in a car for a week.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to go ahead and fly on this next trip for the half marathon and consider driving for other trips.
Yeah. So when we got home the next day, I couldn't even really kind of walk normally. There was a lot of pain. I had to call my doctor. You know, possibility of an MRI in the future, maybe. But you know, we're trying some things now, and we'll find out in a few days how that goes because we have to train.
We're training for 2 marathons and a half marathon.
Yeah.
So we're still medium early in the training process. So if there's any sort of injury, we need to get a result now.
Yeah.
If it's just arthritis, we need to figure out how to work around it now. So that's what we're dealing with now. So doctor said on Monday, no running for a week, take this pain pill, ice it, you know, whatever. And it's feeling better?
Yeah.
It's feeling better.
It's feeling better.
But we haven't hit that week yet, so we haven't gone running again since we've been home.
But we will, and then when we do, we'll update you with a training video. Really, really hope that you stick with us and keep your comments coming. And if you haven't, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're in this. We're signed up. Man, what just an amazing few weeks. We saw wonderful friends. It was just great. And the Dapper Day was a success. Great stuff. So let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you've ever participated in Dapper Day or if you plan to. And remember, again, if you're going to do a Disney trip, do yourself a favor, contact Stephanie Martin with a Vacationeer. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's worth so much. It is always Always an adventure with you. We will see you real soon. Thank you.